Well, it's been a minute, huh, folks? We haven't been really recording or posting that much. I'm here to fix that, I guess. Assuming by the title of this video, I am going to be talking about a little thing called literature and book. I've read one or two books, and I can confidently say I think I know how to read. So, I've comprised a list of book series and two book, just like standalone books, that I will be talking about today. So, if you don't want any of these book series to be spoiled for you a little bit, Jacob, can you just like put a list of the books series? And we will start off with one of my favorite book series, The Unwanteds. So I'm going to give this series a 9 out of 10. I think it's just overall a really awesome, fun series. For those who don't know, The Unwanteds is the story about this world where it's a dystopian novel about, like, there's this gray, boring town that you get sentenced to die because you were too creative, live as a superior being who felt no emotion, or just survive normally as like a basically peasant. Well, it turns out the creative people didn't die, and instead they learned magic. And The Unwanteds follows the story of Alexander Stowe, who gets sent to the magical world of Arteme and is trained by an eccentric man named Mr. Today. So, I think Unwanteds, it's such, like, its writing makes it seem so powerful at times, but it also gives it a sense of vulnerability. I really like the main character because he's this artistic boy who falls to weakness sometimes, and his friends help him to grow out of it. Also, I'm definitely not just biased because of the name. So, yeah, I really like this series. It has a really fun magic system where it's like anything can have a bit of magic in it. You take a paperclip, bend it into a triangle, and throw it, and that can be magic on its own. So I think that's something really amazing to me, I guess. But something that is kind of sad is that a lot of people die, especially in the later books. So that keeps you on your toes a bit. So yeah, 9 out of 10. The next series is Keepers of the Lost Cities, which I'm giving an 8 out of 10. I think it has, so it's about this girl, Sophie Foster. I think that's her name. I haven't read these in a while. And she is found out to be an elf. And these elves are like immortal beings, like Lord of the Rings creatures. Not quite not oldsy-timesy Lord of the Rings creatures, but like immortal beings who have magic powers. And Sophie is like a telepath. So she can like move things with her mind, read minds. But she thought she was human. So that's been plaguing her whole life until she gets brought to the land of like all these magical creatures and elves. And she was this like thought experiment that this old man created, and she's trying to find out why she was created, what she's supposed to do, and how to stop the people threatening her life. So I think this book has, so far there are like 9 books, and it has some really nice worlds, and it creates all these different places that you really want to see, and has all these really interesting like foods, and it has like just everything you could think about, like sports. It has schools, and it has lots of different characters and ways that they like are intertwined together. And that's something really important with the story, to have a connection between two characters, so it's not just, hey Jim, How's it going, Jim? Good, Jerry. Thanks. And there are a lot of love triangles in this one. The next book series is Mary Poppins. I'm giving it a 9.5 out of 10. Unlike the other books in the series, or series that I'm talking about, Mary Poppins doesn't have just like this over-looming threat the whole time. The moon's not going to explode. It's just a maybe magic nanny. And I really love the happy tone that it isn't, nothing could go horribly wrong. It's just the Jane and Michael Banks, who have never been able to keep a nanny, and they establish that at the beginning of every book. And Mrs. Banks is having a hard time running the family, and Mr. Banks is having a hard time just keeping everything in control. And then every time something happens to Jane and Michael, so they go outside and they fly a kite, or they see someone flying down on an umbrella or firework, and there's Mary Poppins. It's a fun story with lots and lots of colorful characters who are all so wacky, and there's usually that one crazy uncle who puts people on tops, or that cousin who lives in the park. And there's always, like, it's sort of like a childlike wonder book, and I think that's just as, it can be just as amazing of a story as one of these other crazy good versus evil, when instead the big scary thing of the book is that Mary Poppins might leave these kids again. The next book series that I'll be talking about is Harry Potter. I am giving it an 8.5 out of 10. I think it has a really awesome story. And for those of you who don't know what Harry Potter is, because you don't read or don't watch movies about magic, Harry Potter is this boy, and he lives with his aunt and uncle and his cousin under the stairs because they don't like him, until one day he gets a letter and finds out that he's a wizard. Because he's a wizard, Harry. Or, as the book says, Harry, you're a wizard. And the entire series is Harry, who is trying to learn magic at this wizard school called Hogwarts, while also trying to fight the Dark Lord Voldemort, and who gave him a lightning scar when he was a baby and killed his parents. And Harry Potter got me into reading when I was a kid. And, like, I could be wrong, because I haven't read these in a while, but the way that Harry's mood is throughout the books kind of affects the way that the writing is. And that's kind of an interesting way to show the emotions of the character. And I think it's really effective. And reading that as, like, right now, 13-year-old, that has, like, it makes me go, oh, this is what he's thinking. I can relate to that because I'm living through similar things. And also, a lot of people die in Harry Potter. But it also has that sense of, like, world building, even when it is kind of just like Hogwarts or Hogsmeade, or there are a lot of hogs. Next. Many people might have seen this coming. In a previous podcast video, we discussed the magics that is Percy Jackson. I'm giving this a blue food out of 10. For those who don't know who Percy Jackson is, his journey starts at any point in his short, miserable life, but it really kicks off when he's 12, finds out that he's a demigod, his mother dies, and he gets sent to this magical camp for demigods and half-bloods, who are the children of the gods, like the Greek gods. So Zeus, Poseidon, Hades, well, those three aren't supposed to have kids. But the other ones, they're all still alive. So it's supposed to be sort of a story, like, what if Hercules was like your gym teacher? What if Hermes just brought you mail? It's about Percy trying to free his mom and save Olympus, while also just learning to survive in this new world he's been like trapped in. Now, I'll be talking about just some singular books, and I might discuss some other ones later. But really quick, I want to say one more thing about Percy Jackson. I think it's so funny, and it has so much character. Like Harry Potter, it's beautifully written, and there's so many like just nicely worded things. But in Percy Jackson, I know Percy and Harry, they're both sassy, but you can hear it in Percy's voice in the main series, and that just helps elevate it to show, oh, this isn't Hercules. This isn't Perseus. This is a kid who's scared and misses his mom. He's not sure what he's doing, and I think a lot of people can relate to that. And for me personally, it's helped me in times when I'm kind of frustrated or mad, and I go, oh, there's this kid, even if he's not real, he's still pushing on in a story, and that can help people feel happier, I guess. And also it's supportive towards a lot of like groups, like people who are bisexual or gay or have ADHD or dyslexia or even lactose intolerance. And like Harry Potter, I might have said this, it got me into reading, but Percy Jackson was the series that got me to love to read. And now I'll talk about the just singular books. There's only like one or two. I'm starting off with the Iliad. For those of you who don't know, the Iliad is the tales of the last couple days of the Trojan War, which was a 10-year-long war over the beautiful Helen of Troy between the Trojans and the Greeks. So, let it be known, I have not finished the Iliad, but don't judge me too hard. I'm giving it a 7 out of 10 for now. It's a really great story, and it has lots of action in its description. Like, it's easily one of the most descriptive books I've read. Like, it goes, Achilles threw the spear with all his might as he felt his tendons strain around his arm as it flew through the air, crashing into the shoulder of what's-his-face of the 13th lineage of Rome. Rome probably didn't exist yet. And it broke him right in the nape of the arm, and he wailed in pain as he fell to his grave. It's that descriptive all the time. But even though it's like this epic chronicle with all these like characters, like I really like some of the characters like Odysseus and Diomedes, who are like these clever little, like, they're kings. Most of these people are kings and princes and things. But some of them are just so sneaky, like Odysseus, the wily one compared to the mind of Zeus. Diomedes, the like warrior of Athena, trained to be the like partner of Ares or stuff like that. But there's also a lot of like lists, like this person from here, and it will go on for pages. So it's like a truckload to read. And the next book is The Hobbit. Now, I have not read the whole Lord of the Rings, like The Fellowship of the Rings, The Two Towers, Return of the King. I have not read those, but I have read The Hobbit. I'm giving it a 8 out of 10. It has some really fantastic world building. It's really superb. And it has, like, the cast of the dwarves and, like, how reluctant Bilbo is until he finds his speed in it. And Gandalf, who's there for him, but also wants him to grow into it. And seeing Bilbo's progression, or reading, I guess, into more of a tricky mind to learn to avoid death or save his friends. And that's, like, sure, the story itself is amazing, but also just reading about his progression from someone who eats the same thing every day with his tea and stuff, to being a thief and a trickster. And that's an amazing story on its own. So, before this gets too long, I will say I have read a few more books. And by a few I mean a lot. I've read parts of the Bible. Yeah, Jesus! I've read Explorer Academy. I've read Magnus Chase, The Kane Chronicles, Daughter of the Deep, basically every book by Rick Riordan, and a lot more. So, people listening to me talk right now, or friends who are also listening to this, take a crack at it. Read one of these books, and then let me know what you think or something. Yep. Goodbye.